Hello, one and all. It's my view, Dr. Stone, Chapter 183, Stone Sanctuary. Just Jesus freaking Christ, Senku. After all the work Corn City put in last chapter, after they were so excited to actually manage to make freaking diamonds, you tell them, okay, now go dig up some real ones. Oh, you're a jerk. You are seriously a jerk. Though I guess it does make a certain amount of sense. If they could actually make diamonds that big in labs that easily, I think we'd see a lot more of them. So basically, the artificial diamonds were created for the sake of fine-tuning and perfecting the shape of the real natural diamonds. Yay! And now they need to go find some real natural diamonds, and the one who can find them is sweet little Chelsea, who is in a rather interesting pose in the start of this chapter. Yeah, I'm not really sure what to make of that, but she's super excited, super happy, is able to find diamonds using a whole bunch of words that I kind of sort of understand. I mean, Xeno definitely understands them, even though she was speaking a little too quickly, and Jen, though, thinks that she is speaking in tongues, which, again, this girl, she is so good at knowing the landscape, the geography, everything about it, and yet for 6 months, she still could not find Xeno's city. I find something a little suspicious about that. And then we prove once and for all that Chrome is a better scientist than Taiju, which I don't think any of us are really all that doubtful of, but yeah, I do love Xeno's line here. How perfectly ironic that the one without the prodigious benefits of 21st century knowledge managed to arrive at the correct answer. Oh, Xeno. I freaking love you sometimes. I mean, you should be very well the fact that Chrome is a much better scientist than Taiju is, even if Taiju managed to trick you at the very beginning. Oh god, let's not forget Dr. Taiju. That was a thing for quite a few chapters. That was funny. So yeah, now the plan is to find real diamonds, and then have Joel use the artificial diamond to weather down to the perfect, absolute shape. And, you know, he is very confident in this, and Nikki gives him a little pat on the back for good luck, and he gets very embarrassed, and I freaking love it. Oh, I love Joel. Anyway, then Senku tells them no more communication moving forward, because they don't want the radio waves giving away their location to Stanley, which, you know, that makes a lot of sense. So no more communication until the battle is over, until the fight is won. And, you know, Senku is very careful here to word this so that Stanley's team, if they are listening, won't learn about the fact that Senku has a mountain of Medusas. Which, smart, very smart. Unfortunately, though, Xeno is really smart as well, and he sends a message out to Stanley letting him know that Senku is up to something. I don't think there's any actual substance to this message, no, like, actual words here, more just, you know, he's telling them that Senku is up to something and that he has come up with a plan that will nullify their ability to track them by radar, that they need to think of something else, they need to do something else rather than what they're doing at this exact moment. At least that's the best I can come up with it. Though it's definitely interesting that Senku is aware that Xeno sent the warning. I mean, you know, when Xeno's finger is magnetized later on, Senku is like shocked by it, but then later on he seems very calm, so it seems like he realized what Xeno is doing and has a plan to counteract it, I guess? Curious about that. Anyway, in order to find real diamonds, they need to go to Araxa, a municipality in Brazil that has a whole bunch of gemstones and super alloys, and that's where Senku was always planning on founding his super alloy city. Yay! Unfortunately, though, Xeno knew that's what Senku was planning way, way back when, and figured that was going to be Senku's ultimate destination, which is why the message he sent to Stanley wasn't, we have Medusa, it wasn't, we're going to the center of Medusas, wasn't the coordinates of Medusas, but Senku's next step, where he was going after that. The goal is Araxa. Oh my freaking god, finally, finally, finally. I mean, seriously, we have all been speculating on what that clue was for a long, long time. I definitely 100% did not expect it to be Senku's next destination, where he was going after the Medusas. I just seriously did not see that coming. And I do really love, though, that Stanley is starting to respect Senku, to acknowledge his skill. I mean, he starts saying, you know, maybe they have radar jamming, stealth ship, anti-radiation missiles. I did not know that was a thing. I have a lot of questions about that. And Charlotte is just utterly floored by this, saying there's no way possible that Senku and the gang could have made anything like that. But Stanley, you know, he's started to respect them. Zero? Not when it comes to Senku and the Junior Science Brigade of his. I really wish they wouldn't call them the Junior Science Brigade, but, you know, good first step. So he realizes that he can't underestimate Senku. That whatever, you know, Senku has planned, he needs to have 10 other plans in order to really stop him, in order to really capture him. I am a little confused, though, about Stanley's motivation here. I mean, he decides to change his mind and starts heading directly towards Araxa, but why wasn't that his goal, you know, first time around? That's where Xeno told him Senku was going, and instead of, you know, actually going there and trying to cut off Senku, his plan was just to completely sail around South America to eventually, you know, hope to run into Senku and capture him on the radar. I mean, that's a fairly bad plan, I think, especially for a military tactician like him. So, curious about that. Anyway, then they build an elevator, which Chelsea refers to as funsies, as they're basically plunging down the face of this cliff, which, oh, Chelsea, you're insane. I freaking love that. I do kind of wish we'd seen the elevator, though I guess it's, basically the same, basic premise and construction technique they used to make the ropeway. So, alright, that makes sense. Though it is a little disappointing, after they built the freaking stealth ship, they only used it for 2 chapters before, they said, alright, let's start heading out on foot again. Seriously? That was so much work, so much effort, such a brilliant idea to make a stealth ship, and end up being, utterly and completely useless. And Stanley seems to arrive first, which, is very, very bad. So what exactly is going to happen next? I mean, Senku seems super excited, super happy on the last page, even though he knows that Xeno sent a message to Stanley, that Stanley's probably going to be waiting for them there. So what sort of method and tactics does Senku have planned to beat Stanley, take them out in the stone sanctuary? I mean, he even straight up says, Medusas will turn the tide of battle, but he won't have Medusas for at least a couple days. It's going to take a while for them to actually, dig up the diamonds. Assuming they've already figured out, the method, already been told by Joel how it is they're supposed to craft them properly. I'm honestly not sure about that. I mean, Senku is not the kind of guy to rush headfirst in danger, so if he's confident here, he has a reason to be confident here. Maybe they aren't actually going to Araxa, maybe they have another destination in mind, and they just made Xeno think that was the plan, so he could tell that to Stanley. That's the best guess I came up with. And even if that's not the case, Araxa is a municipality. I'm assuming it's a fairly large place, so I'm assuming there's going to be, a lot of land that Stanley's going to have to cover to find Senku and the rest of them. Maybe the plan is just to, hide from Stanley as best he can for a couple days in the woods and, a cave somewhere until they perfect the system and then they use it on Stanley. I'm not sure about that. I am also seeing a lot of people theorizing that they might come across a civilization, a third party in the Amazon, which would definitely be interesting. I was actually saw online that a lot of people in Brazil are descendants of Japanese people, and they actually speak Japanese, so that'd be helpful. That'd definitely be helpful for Senku and the gang to run into a bunch of Japanese speakers, and I think Senku and the gang would have much, much higher chance of winning them over than Stanley and his gang would. I mean, especially because they have Chelsea. She is an expert on dealing with local people and local customs, so she could definitely, win over the locals very, very easily, much more easily than, Stanley and the rest of them can with their guns. So, curious about that, and just seriously, what is the plan for next chapter? I mean, I know Senku's planning something, I know Stanley's planning something, so the question really is, who is more steps ahead of the other person? I mean, it's definitely a good sign that Senku recognizes, sent the message, that he, is plotting something, so he can plan around that, but it feels like Stanley might know that Senku knows that Xeno sent the message to let Stanley know. I think that makes sense. It might not. I mean, don't forget what an utter cat-and-mouse battle their last encounter was, Senku and the rest of them escaping on the motorcycles. That was this big surprise hit that Stanley wasn't expecting, but Stanley already had plans cut out for it, to shoot at them, to take them out from a distance. And even if he didn't know about that, he also had plans to, force them to flee as quickly as they could so that they would go in a straight line so he could track them from the plane. So it's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting. But please, let me think also down below. What is Xeno planning? What is Senku planning? What is Stanley planning? What the freak is everybody planning? Because they all have secret plans going on. I feel like it's going to be, reverse Uno for the next 3 chapters. Senku did this, but Stanley was expecting that. But Senku was expecting Stanley to expect Senku to expect that, so Stanley did this. It's going to get very, very confusing. I'm so freaking excited for it. But let me think all down below. Be sure to like, subscribe to the next video. Until then, peace!